Hi everybody, Lee Arnold here again with another installment of our whiteboard investing strategies. And I wanted to talk to you today about what we call pre-foreclosure equity. Now, the foreclosure auctions are a tremendous place to find deals, and I'm sure that many of you have either been to a foreclosure auction or attempted to buy at a foreclosure auction. Unfortunately, a lot of you don't even go to auction because you've been told that you have to have all cash to bid. And while that is true in many markets across the United States of America, it prohibits or keeps you from pursuing foreclosure as an acquisition strategy because you don't have the cash. So you're thinking, why go? I can't buy those things anyway. Well, what you need to know about is that foreclosure is not something that just happens this week and houses are going to auction tomorrow. Foreclosure auction is something that has a very, very long runway that can vary from 3 weeks in the state of Texas to as long as 2 years in the state of Illinois. So identifying properties that are on the foreclosure list and working those deals before they go to the auction is where you're going to make significantly more money because you do not have to competitively bid against any other investors and you don't have to have all cash to bid. As you guys know, Kogo Capital, we are a nationwide private money lender. I can lend money on any deal you want to buy in any market as long as you're getting it for the right price and a good deal, and there's upside for you to make a profit. Unfortunately, for many of you, if you don't have the cash right now, and believe me, I get it. When I started investing in real estate, my credit cards were maxed out, my credit was shot. I didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. This strategy is for all of you who don't have any money. And for those of you that have cash, we're about to double and triple that cash because this is one of the most powerful strategies I have found. Now, what I'm holding here, this is the foreclosure list. These are properties that are going to sale in the coming week right here in my market. Now, I'm going to go simply through and I'm going to look at the value of the asset and I'm going to look at the underlying debt and I'm going to see if there's any upside. Now, I pulled a SendViews report. If you guys are not using SendViews, you're crazy. This is one of the most powerful pieces of software I have seen for real estate acquisition. If you want to learn more about it, go to getsendviews.com. This is where you will get this report. Now, this is what we refer to as a debt stack. It's a debt stack because it'll tell us the underlying debt or liens that are against the property because we have to determine how much they owe so we can determine how much equity they have. So with this debt stack, we can see that the current owner acquired this asset back in, they bought it in April of 2006. Now, when they bought it, they got a first mortgage loan for $83,000. They refinanced in 7. They got a second for 14. They refinanced both of those loans in 7 for 112 grand. Then they refinanced again in 2010, a loan amount of 129,000. And then you can see right here, they refinanced again in 2017, but this time it was not a refinance. It was what's called a loan modification. Now, when a homeowner is doing a loan modification, it's because they are in arrears on their mortgage, they're about to get foreclosed on, and they can go to their lender who will then adjust that mortgage to give them a lower monthly payment, extending the term from 30 years to 40 years, and often a reduced interest rate from 5 to 1 or 6 to 2. Loan modifications are great, but it is a sign that there is a challenge financially for the homeowner. Most loan modifications, over 50% of modifications are going to go back into foreclosure within the next 24 months. So anytime you see a modification on title, that's an indication that it is a future problem that's going to be coming online. And here it is now, scheduled to go to foreclosure auction right here in my market next week. This modification was done back in 2017. So they made payments for a few years, but here they are in trouble again, which is unfortunate. However, if we don't go to the auction to buy it and we do a pre-foreclosure acquisition strategy, we can go contact this homeowner and help them avoid foreclosure. But before we do that, we got to make sure that it's worth our time. So 2 questions you must always ask on a real estate deal is number 1, what do they owe? Okay. And number 2, what is it worth? Okay. So what do they owe? What is it worth? Now, we could certainly jump on our car and drive down there and drive the neighborhood and look at surrounding sales and comparables. That is a waste of time. This simple little report will allow you to determine all of that information in just a matter of about 30 seconds. Watch this, okay? So when I look at the debt stack, remember we looked at that modification. The amount of the modification when they did it back in 2017 was for $129,000. So right now I would say that they owe about 130 grand. Okay, that's what they owe. Now to get the value, we got to go in and we got to look at the comparable sales. So we go to the back page here of our Centfuse Debt Stack Report, where we get a list of properties that look like this, okay? Now, on the list of properties, we're going to look at the year built, the square footage of the asset, the square footage of the lot, and when it's sold and its proximity to the subject location, okay? So as I scroll down here, the subject property is built in 1952. It is 1,139 square feet. Now, here's a property that's similar in size, sold for $127,800. Here's another property that is smaller that sold for $243,000. Here's another property that is a little larger that sold for $192,000. All totaled, I would say that the value of this asset, I would put value at about $189,900. Now at $189,900, we have $59,000 in equity. That is enough margin for us to make some money. So what we're going to do is we're going to contact the seller and we're going to buy pre-foreclosure. How much are we going to offer? Well, simple. Take our formula, $189,900 times 70% minus rehab equals MAO. Again, MAO stands for maximum allowable offer. So to determine our rehab costs, all we're going to do is we're going to take the square footage of the asset, 1,139, times 25. Rehab cost is $28,000. So $28,000 is rehab. So we're going to take our $189,900 times 70%. Whoops, $189,900 times 70% minus $28,000. Our maximum allowable offer is $104,930. Now, if the maximum allowable offer is $104 and he owes $130, obviously we can't write the offer because he owes more than we can pay. However, we don't know what the condition looks like. So this rehab cost may be high. So what we want to do, contact the seller, schedule an appointment, drive out to the property, determine the condition. If the property is pristine and doesn't need any renovation or repair, guess what? Rehab cost goes away and we can pay exactly what he owes. Now, by buying it for the $130 on a value of $189,900, if this thing went to auction, I can assure you it's going to get bid up to $140, $150. Auctions today are incredibly competitive and most investors are bidding out the upside equity. So we can get it early by simply pulling our foreclosure list, which is public record. You can get this down at the county recorder's office or the county courthouse. What you're looking for is a Liz pendants filing or a notice of default filing. Simply go down to the courthouse, pull the list, pull the debt stack, find out what's owed, what's value, determine properties that have equity, make contact with the seller directly, buy it from them, no bidding against other bidders, and I'll give you the money to buy it. This is Lee Arnold. Happy investing. God bless.